as Glenn mentioned, there's been a lack of understanding, I think, but it's led to a complete absence of fear of nuclear war. And I teach a class on nuclear weapons at the University of Missouri. I find that my students have little or no knowledge of this. I think after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, it just stopped being taught in all of our public schools. And this ignorance, I think, is reflected in our political leadership now. And we've talked about the unthinkable thing of nuclear war, and nobody seems to think about it or even understand it. But in 1961, President Kennedy warned the world at the United Nations that a nuclear sword of Damocles hang over the head of all people and nations. And it's been like that, but that's been forgotten. The idea of mutual assured destruction seems to have been replaced with this idea of, as Glenn mentioned, the moral imperative of not bowing to nuclear blackmail from Russia. So my purpose in this presentation is just to remind people of what nuclear war is and what it would mean. This is a picture of the atomic bomb that was detonated over Nagasaki, the mushroom cloud. And this is what Nagasaki looked like shortly thereafter. That was a 15 kiloton or 15,000 ton equivalent explosive. But any nuclear weapon is like a piece of the sun. It creates solar temperatures. A chemical explosion from a high explosive might be 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But at the moment of detonation, a nuclear bomb, even an atomic bomb, creates temperatures of 100 million degrees Fahrenheit. The surface of the fireball is hotter than the surface of the sun, so anyone beneath it will be vaporized. But the bombs we have now are much more powerful than the bombs that we began with in 1945. This is a comparative pictures of a 15 kiloton weapon detonated over New York City. It's the same map, but you can see the strategic nuclear weapon. Russia has about 250 or 300 of these 800 kiloton warheads that it's at launch ready status. On an average weather day, they will set about 152 square miles on fire. That's 394 square kilometers. So anything in the fire zone is not going to survive. There's going to be temperatures above the boiling point of water in about 10 minutes. Hurricane force winds will blow in from the periphery, powerful enough to uproot trees. Asphalt roads will melt. Anyone even in a deep shelter will be cooked. Oxygen's used up. This is one weapon. Now, imagine if hundreds or thousands of those are detonated. This is what happens. This is an image of a nuclear fireball. Dr. Theodore Postel and I co-authored an article in the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists called "What Would Happen If an 800 kiloton Weapon Was Detonated Over Manhattan." The fireball, after 1 second, is about a mile in diameter. The surface of it is hotter than the surface of the sun. Within tens of minutes, it sets fires over this 150 square mile area. All the fires will converge into one giant firestorm. And this creates enormous amounts of black carbon soot because there's enormous amounts of petroleum-based products, in all urban areas now, and they will be ignited. Well, Dr. Postel also created another set of slides. I think they may have been seen on this program, but if you look at the very smallest circle over there, that's a 10 kiloton weapon. That's slightly smaller than the Hiroshima bomb. And it moves on up to the 475 kiloton weapon, are the size of the weapons that the U.S. have at launch ready status in their Ohio class subs. And a 100 megaton weapon is what Russia has created now in its Poseidon drone torpedoes. These are powered by nuclear engines. They have almost unlimited range. And at the bottom of the screen, you can see Dr. Postel compared it with the Tsar Bomba, which was a 100 megaton weapon. That was detonated right before the nuclear test ban treaty took place. They put a lead jacket on it that actually restricted the yield to 57 megatons. This is a Belgorod sub that carries these, that has been deployed. And this is an image of the Tsar Bomba being detonated in the Soviet Union. Pictures are probably taken from 50 or 60 miles away.
прошла вторая отраженная ударная волна. Постепенно порыв воды, сконденсировавшийся за фронтом ударной волны, рассеиваются, раскаленное облако уходит вверх, увлекая за собой гигантский пылевой столб.
Dr. Postel created this image of what 6 of these detonations from the one sub would create, how the yellow zones would be ignited, many thousands of square miles in each detonation. So this isn't even like from ICBMs. This is just from one submarine. Princeton created this next video. It was created before the Ukraine war. If I was going to do the video now, I would create it with the beginning with a massive launch of NATO missiles and drones, and after following a Russian a big aero attack into Ukraine. I think part of what Putin was warning about, this new change in doctrine, is because Russia is on the verge of breaking through all the lines in Ukraine, and they have like 700,000 troops on the border. And if they go in full in, there's going to be a lot of calls from NATO to retaliate. And if they do that, then I think this is the scenario where the nuclear retaliation is going to be envisioned. But this begins with a tit-for-tat exchange of nuclear weapons. And shows how the war could escalate. Russia launches a nuclear warning shot from a base near the city of Kaliningrad. NATO retaliates with a single tactical nuclear airstrike, while using a B-61 weapon. We have about 100 of those based there at 5 NATO member states right now. The B-61 is a variable yield weapon. It can be sub-kiloton range, the B-61-12s, or it can go up to 50 kilotons. It would be 3 to 4 times larger than the Hiroshima weapon. Putin said that Russian tactical nuclear weapons have a yield of 75 kilotons. There's an escalation. Russia sends 300 nuclear warheads through aircraft and short-range missiles to hit NATO bases. NATO responds with approximately 180 nuclear warheads via aircraft. 2.8 million people are going to die as a result of these strikes. Syrup destroyed, NATO launches a strategic nuclear strike of 600 warheads from U.S. land and submarine-based missiles aimed at Russian nuclear forces. Before losing its weapon systems, Russia launches on morning. This strike was primarily aimed at counterforce targets, military targets in the U.S. and Russia. Counter value means you attack cities. This is a final strike against the 30 most populated cities and economic centers, using 5 to 10 warheads on each city, depending on population size. The immediate casualties are over 85 million killed. And all this can take place in a matter of 72 minutes at the most. So that's the immediate death toll, but the burning soot from the cities will rise up. The black carbon soot acts as a solar collector, and the sun's rays strike it, and it quickly rises into the stratosphere above cloud level where it can't be rained out. There's high winds in the stratosphere in a matter of, maybe 10 days. Well, actually, 30% of the light will be blocked in the northern hemisphere and 35% in the southern hemisphere. But that's enough to prevent up to a decade. Daily average temperatures in Central North America and Central Eurasia will fall below freezing every day for up to 3 years. So, not many land animals are going to survive this sort of scenario. There's never been a public discussion or even acknowledgement of the dangers of nuclear winter by any of the leaders of nuclear weapon states. I wrote an article for the Federation of Atomic Scientists some time ago. They removed it from their website, but one of my friends, Greg Mello, who runs the Los Alamos Study Group, had a friend that was in touch with the group that makes the decisions on nuclear policy and nuclear guidance, and they said, "No, we don't believe in nuclear winter. That's just a false theory." And I don't know. I'll finish with the slide that I start with. I just don't think there are any political or national goals that are worth risking the destruction of the human race. We've had this nuclear arsenals hanging over the head of humanity for 60 or 70 years now. And we keep playing. Now we're back to playing nuclear chicken again. We had a chance to eliminate the arsenals in 1991 with the fall of the Soviet Union, but instead we pursued this neocon vision of world unipolar hegemony. And look at where it got us. We want to fight a war with Russia now, and all these fools in Washington think that they can make Russia back down. But nobody wants to acknowledge that the risks of nuclear war are, existential. So I'll go back and I'll stop sharing my screen, and thank you for your attention.